completely crap. But yes, you are taken before the alchemist.
Fantastic.
His grand throne room.
Alright, gotta get back in character here. This is rough.
Yep. The alchemist is sitting on some sort of stone, the throne thing, holding up his massive bulk. And hard to say, but the glint in his eyes when he sees you is not overly hostile.
Cool. Fantastic. Great. Crack the bones again. Guess Rilinid, as he's approaching, he feels he's totally in his element here. He's got this. Rilinid would say, "As it was requested, alchemist, we ventured across the lake and to the isle, where, upon reaching the observatory, we found, retrieved, and acquired all the parts for their ancient and powerful telescope. I took a look through it myself before disassembling it, and I can say it reaches quite far."
The alchemist considers and then ponderously nods and says, "I will be frank with you, Drow. I did not think it possible for you to actually retrieve said telescope. You have surprised me, and I am very pleased." He does some sort of motion in his face area. You think he's maybe smiling.
In addition, and Rilinid sort of edges forward, like with the white spider, he's not sure how close he wants to get. And he fishes from inside his explorer clothes and retrieves the amber pendant while in the northeastern section of the jungle hunting pale hunters and exploring their nests. I found this ancient amber pendant. I cannot place it, but it seems as if something you would know of.
The sage walks forward and reaches out a hand to take the pendant.
Rilinid gladly hands it to the sage.
Yeah, the sage takes it and peers at it, looks at it, turns it around, and then slowly nods. Sort of walks back towards the alchemist and hands him the pendant. The alchemist, with his massive hand, picks it up and peers at it. And then he says, this was... You found this where exactly?
In the northeastern section of the jungle, embedded within the nest of pale hunters. They see no value in such things, so they obviously just interwove it in with their whatever refuse.
The alchemist nods. I see. That is most interesting. This pendant once belonged to an emissary sent into the Skisral territories. He never returned. Sort of looks at the pendant. Pale hunters. He seems to sort of pocket the pendant in a way. And then he nods. This clears up an old mystery for us. You have our thanks, House Vytharia.
Rilinid looks back. And certainly we actually thank you for allowing Miku to fulfill whatever misguided thing that his sort of life debt in following us, for his eyes and ears as well as his savvy have been of great use in exploring the jungle, and in truth his presence can help serve as some sort of story, like truth, a way to verify what it is that we have done in our absence here.
Alchemist nods slowly and says, yes, I will request that you, or at least Miku, remain here for at least a day. We wish to converse with him.
Rilinid looks back at the group and says, certainly we would enjoy staying for a day within these halls.
The alchemist nods. Excellent. Then, as a sign of our budding friendship, I invite you tonight to a banquet with me and the leaders of the city.
A banquet?
Alchemist nods and sort of, makes a sound that sounds like a shuckle.
Of course, it's like, I do not mean offense, of course, but given that our different tastes in food, I would find it merely confusing.
Alchemist actually lets out a sort of rumbling chuckle. Says, "Don't worry, young drow. We have stores of food that would suit your palate, I should think."
In that case, Rilinid just sort of looks back again, so then with that out of the way, we have no choice but to graciously accept.
Good. That was my cunning plan all along. Alchemist nods to himself, looks around. Good. Excellent. Then, if there is nothing further, I bid you a good day, and we will meet again tonight.
Are we quartered in the same place as our last visit?
The alchemist nods. Yes, regrettably, we do not have much accommodations for your kind. I will make sure that your old locale is made ready. You are free to walk the halls of the city of Xan.
Oh, that's cool. Really, I just wanted to make sure that the same place was open, bow, and, sort of, full of curious thoughts, and hopefully Miku can help smooth over this transition.
Miku walks up and, approaches the alchemist, and they seem to be starting to engage. Miku starts his weird humming sounds, and
I like to think it's like one of those coy things where you're too shy or like unconfident to like want to confront a situation head on, so you do it another way. The alchemist figures out about this whole alliance and meeting the skills roll thing from guileless Miku.
Exactly. The sage seems quite, beside himself, and he will, as soon as the meeting is sort of concluded, he will sort of rush towards Rilinid and say, "You must tell me everything you know about the telescope. Come." He sort of grabs him by the hand, basically, and drags him more or less outside.
Well, Rilinid isn't exactly that strong, so he'll acquiesce to the plant creature. His face is hidden anyway, but he offers a shrug towards Alauneari as he's being dragged away.
Alauneari just sort of nods to him to follow with the sage. I mean, she's happy that he didn't grab her. So...
Rae'nkalar is sad. I know engineering too.
If Rae'nkalar says he knows engineering, he will certainly be grabbed as well.
Oh god.
Do you want to be grabbed knowing that?
Alauneari or a mushroom?
Tempting.
That is tempting, yes.
I'll not go with the mushroom, I think, this time.
Alright, duty calls.
Not duty calls.
What?
Sounds like a forced consummation of marriage.
That's an apt description, I think.
Well, I guess, Rilinid will take off the mask and, he'll show, as, they're both hurriedly walking, filter through to pull out, the notes and stuff of how he learned how to assemble and disassemble the thing, and tell of the lenses that he found, including one he located within the Pale Hunter nest as well, but he saw that it worked just fine, so he's not actually sure what it's used for. It's not like he knows he's used telescopes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the sage listens to this intently and asks him probing questions about everything that has to do with the telescope and how it works, and looks at all the drawings and papers, and he is quite ecstatic as far as a mushroom can be.
And then he'll undoubtedly some point in time the probing questions will get to maybe how they got across the island, which case gnomish submersible,
which the sage just blinks slowly.
Found it, restored it. That's why my siblings came back to get all of that lamp oil, which I'm sure you thought was silly at the time, but we actually used that to fuel the submersible, and we first ventured to the Himmelsvard, which was a crashed sky ship the Zvirfneblin used to travel through the air that would crash deep into the lake. And we got a bunch of refined fuel from that, and then we went to Vosenstadt.
Tell them about the mechanical
And
gnome.
and by the way, yeah, we found this crazy clockwork gnome that was still in existence and tried to defend this territory because it did not recognize us with a proper passphrase. And it had all these crazy weapons and devices. It was still functional even after 600 years.
He's like, why did we ask for just a
You
telescope?
stunned it.
Yes.
To befriend the Zyn,
He is
bring us
literally
a sky ship.
You know, like the maps and journals that like Rilinid collecting and show. Like here is how like the mapping that they used to have of the system.
It's...
You know, it is unfortunate that the Zyn, with all of their ancient history and lore, never actually got out to those sites to explore them for themselves.
What? I must so much study. I don't even... picking out all the things and listening like it's submersible. It's remarkable.
It runs so well. It lights with the power of the oil. There are beautiful, bright, shining beacons that cut a swath through the mist of the lake itself.
I must simply see this contraption for myself.
I feel like I'm talking to Brodart Quink here, and I know how to handle Brodart Quink.
This is the mushroom Brodart Quink.
Indeed. As a matter of fact, obviously the submersible is how we hauled the ancient telescope here itself. Traveling, it flies so quickly through the water, you could traverse the entire lake in less than a day. Less than half a day.
The sage like furiously scribbles in notes and stuff, and he is ecstatic.
Stab him, he's flat-footed.
Now's the time to enact the bloody coup.
Yeah, it won't be that bloody. He's made out of plant.
Yeah, well, gooey coup,
Sappy.
I guess.
The gooey coup.
It's syrup.
The gooey coup.
And I'm hoping the sage, and maybe the singer too, from what happened earlier, can maybe be an ally against the alchemist.
Setting up power play, I see.
Kind of revolution.
I'm
Bring
not
down
gonna,
the
I'm,
old order.
I'm not gonna overthrow the alchemist so much as maybe make it so that he doesn't kill me.
Yeah, as I said, he is completely ecstatic, and Rilinid has no he cannot escape the sage. Like he's basically held hostage for the.
That's why I didn't.
He's helpless. That's great.
Yep.
So there we go with the 18 intelligence and vast engineering knowledge. Belch all that, the experiences and the encounters. And then, we'll wrap in the Skisral too. The sage is so great and interested, and he didn't seem so convinced about why they were being held hostage. He'll wrap in every single social encounter and the details, the nuances that he observed, and their own language and how they interacted with each other.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Shoehorn that in.
He will listen to that also somberly, and seems to he seems to listen to Rilinid now with newfound respect. Like it's clear that Rilinid knows has fantastic knowledge about all manner of things, and you would guess that the alchemist does indeed respect his wisdom at this point.
That's great.
All right, rest of the group. You do anything special?
Alauneari has a ruby she can go pawn away.
Then we'll try not to vomit rainbow flagging. That
I would
seems
laugh
like
at
a
the fact
worthwhile
that
investment.
it's vomiting rainbows.
Trish will try to make a mushroom cap hat.
That's not really a problem. You can get the.
live Xan, yeah.
Can you start ripping up mushrooms and go to town?
Boop, boop, boop.
Does Tristan start ripping up mushrooms?
I think that would be offensive in some way. So I'm gonna go with no.
All right. All right.
Yeah, I guess. Just hang around Alauneari.
Alauneari will walk around town looking at the people. She'll actually try if there are any sort of. Because now they have sort of seen her before and such. So maybe there's some Zyn that wouldn't mind talking now. Just about anything, really.
Sure, she can approach some son.
She thinks that perhaps knowing the people a little more might be useful for further future. Or what they're like, what they do. and sort of inquire as to each their own sort of part. Like she understands that they're sort of born for specific tasks and such.
Yep.
She'll inquire to each what sort of things these can be, and sort of.
She will learn like about basic structure in the city. It seems that most of the Xan, when they are born, are decided to work under basically one of the leaders, which is the steward, the gardener, the singer, the sage, and the alchemist himself. And
So they're equals.
the
Where's the
alchemist
alchemist
alchemist is the leader.
Right.
He is the de facto like leader of the Xan. He has a veto in everything they decide upon.
Wow, like democracy, but he's God.
Yeah.
So.
The others are in charge of different aspects of society. Gardeners, of course, nursery and growing and rebirth in the Xan. The steward is mainly the military commander of the Xan, organizing hunters and raids and things like that. Defenses. The singer is the keeper of the culture of the Xan, especially the songs, which seems to be very dear and deep to all the Xan. That's how they remember. That's how they celebrate the singing, the song of the people, as it were. And then the sage, which is the researcher and the one in charge of like acquiring new artifacts and things like that. Basically, he would be the court magician.
Sure.
Or court wise man, I suppose.
Poor Tine.
Soothsayer.
All right. She spend her day walking about among the people, seeing what she can learn from them.
Sure. All right. Then, by the evening, you're once again invited into the halls of the alchemist. And when you go, you do notice that they have sort of changed the furniture of the throne room. It seems to like the throne is still there, of course, but they have put in like a large mushroom bark table, and upon it seems to be heaped, different form of foods, like some very strange ones. You have like no idea even what that is. Some others are basically form of like stews and meats. You do actually see a completely like a whole roasted cave auroch, like basically been has been grilled on a spit and filled with what seems to be like weird vegetables and things, probably from the jungle. All of it quite luxurious. Also, like huge barrels of what you quickly find out is actually sort of a black, dark brew that seems to be some sort of dark beer. Think of it like a Guinness, basically. There's also smaller casks that seems to be containing some also very black and dark liquid, and you recognize that actually as a form of fungal whiskey. It's a quite the rare delicacy, actually. Many drowned nobles fancy that and sort of import it from various parts. So it's quite rare, though.
Well, seems like the food is good.
Yes. And you are invited to take place whenever you want to sit.
I presume the table's running down, so the alchemist, of course, is head figure on the table.
Yep. The alchemist is at the head of the table.
I suppose Alauneari will take the other head.
I'll sit next to Trislan.
Another mushroom just appeared. Oh, I want to join.
An Ivy and me are somewhere in there.
Under the table.
Me is happily eating away at candy. It's only food these days.
Had to learn to adapt and survive on candy.
Yep.
Got a problem now.
If an insect lived on candy, it would be hooked. No, it'd be like,
There are like flies and bees, I guess, that like candy.
I can't blame you. I can't blame you for moving, Rain. Look at that fucking gardener.
Maybe also over here.
I am very offended. I will now kill you all.
Oh my god!
He has
Get
9
away
AC.
from me!
One cut his
We're
head
gonna
off.
play
He's
like-
growing a new one from the neck.
Are we going to play like musical chairs to run away from it? Zakari has to do with it.
Don't be afraid of it. It's a plant.
Well, there seems to be some chaos at the end of the table, but the alchemist doesn't
You
really
think?
mind much. He seems actually to be in a quite good mood, and he's happily poking away at different things on the table. You see him sort of pick something up in his great hands and like shove it behind his like the things that basically hang in front of his face. You can hear sort of a slurping sound from inside there. You don't really know what he's doing, but best not to know, perhaps.
Well, Rilinid doesn't have a
Sad
problem.
came.
Rilinid doesn't have a problem with taste. This tastes too weird. Prestidigitation. There we go. That's better.
I mean, I'm used to military rations. How bad can it be?
When Rae'nkalar bites in, it's actually quite good. I mean, it's certainly very alien tastes, but it is certainly, he thinks that yes, this is maybe something a drowned noble would pay quite handsomely to experience, being very blasé as they usually are, and craving new and exciting tastes and sensations and stuff.
Hey,
If anyone else seems like nervous to eat, Rain will give them a nod, reassuring it's actually pretty good.
Alauneari will. I mean, she just eats as she said. I mean, this is a feast in our honor, so of course she eats.
Yeah.
Not a lot. She never eats a lot, but whatever seems the most expensive and interesting.
However, carrying a telescope is exhausting. I'm going to eat plenty.
Today, Rilinid will certainly enjoy food, particularly after prestidigitation, and it's met with, since he's not wearing the mask, nervous glances between the alchemist and the door every now and then. He'll be like in the middle of thoughtful chewing, and then the 18 intelligence will hit him with a horrible thought, and then, how far away is the door? If I vanish myself...
So I just leg it. The alchemist seems to be in a magnanimous mood.
Well, that can change.
Oh yes.
So about your god,
He's just like...
You do realize it's in charge position.
He like flips the table.
to mind.
He charges through the table because he can charge through difficult terrain without penalty.
Yes. Because he's the fucking alchemist.
He
The
drinks
alchemist-
a mixture.
Exactly. He drinks his enrage mutagen, and you eat it passes a little time. Everyone is eating different things. The alchemist will then look over the party and sort of surmise and says, "I have heard much of what young Miku has said. Looking about, it seems it was quite an adventure."
It would be kind of fun if Sam would get very paranoid and say, "Well, yeah, Mako is a liar."
Don't trust anything he says.
Slow chewing. Why answer what the alchemist already knows, right?
It's stating facts.
Yeah.
Well, they will nod politely.
He has told me he has been well received in your group. So looks around. Although he is confused, which is of course natural in such a situation. Sort of looks around.
He has proven himself worthy in many a fight. He is quite the skilled individual.
Although he needs to learn how to carry a ranged weapon should his foe escape his glaive.
Miku looks down.
Didn't we just tease him all the time and make fun of him?
Oh, Alauneari certainly didn't.
No.
Value him. Very useful. He can't lie. How useful is that?
Who
The
can't lie?
alchemist looks over, looks at Zyn actually. Miku has told me that him and you has had some exchanges when it comes to wildlife survival and such.
Well, we have differing opinions on some things, but I think we each complemented our own knowledge in a decent way. He was certainly a help occasionally.
Certainly a help occasionally.
Alchemist
Shoots in an eye.
considers. Interesting. Would you then tell me some of your takes of the jungle, young hunter drow?
Zyn could certainly tell the alchemist some of the things that he himself has deduced about the mist, for example, but as a player I couldn't really make up that kind of stuff. For example, that the mist is actually a really evil being that is maybe the cause of really weird happenings in the fungal jungle, like wolves and stuff.
Zyn
Like this crazy conspiracy theory pretty much about the fungal jungle that everything is connected and he has figured it
To
out.
kill him.
Zyn is like, I'm really tired of these shrieking mushrooms I keep stepping on. What's the deal?
Like,
Yeah.
they sing.
Exactly, that's the children crying out in pain.
Oh no.
The alchemist listens and says, yes, the mist, it can have peculiar effects. We are usually immune.
Usually.
He nods. Yes, usually.
Does there come water down from him all the time?
Yes, it's pouring like weird, like watery, like fluid from him. Yes,
Or there's like a big bucket around him.
I was just
yes, it's
asking.
more being absorbed
Yeah.
into the ground here. Like you see, like small mushrooms and flowers and stuff like blooming around him.
But Tristan just be looking at the singer in awe.
The singer,
Wow.
the singer's looking back.
Pretty mushroom. It's pink.
Well, looking at the alchemist, actually, before I was sure that this up here was the eyes,
Mm-hmm.
but now I see kind of eyes here, and then a really wicked smile.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is the real one?
You're not entirely sure.
Because one seems like a sort of an old thing with a big hat. And the other one just seems like a really, really mean thing with sort of grass hanging down in front of his face.
You know that when he sort of took food behind his face, it kind of moved in this area.
Oh.
You
Oh,
should
God.
just ask
Yeah,
him.
look at
So-
those eyes. It's like her.
He's so
Shut up.
evil.
Should just straight up ask him, so are those your nipples or your eyes?
Because I thought like this would be like a shiny eye thing.
I thought
That
that was
is usually, when he nods and stuff, that's usually where it moves, and you have definitely identified that is something that is peering at you.
Right. Is this an eye though? Is this?
Kind of looks like it in a way.
So he has multiple eyes.
Oh. He's like a multi-creature. Right, Alauneari, you can spend some time contemplating this.
Remember, he's an alchemist.
Yeah. Oh,
He's
yes.
grew new eyes.
Vestigial stomach.
Mm.
He actually has a tentacle somewhere.
Oh, sure.
We'll find out where
Well,
soon.
there will, she can contemplate this sort of while she eats.
Then would certainly like to ask more question about what the Zan people think about the mist, where it came from, and what does it do, and why is it there, and
Yes,
things like that, pretty much.
you may certainly ask. They,
Well,
they seem to be in a good mood.
Then would then ask the alchemist, you said your people are usually immune. Why are only some of your people immune, and what happens to those that aren't?
The alchemist seems to, chew on something and then make a sort of swallowing sound. And then he says, the mist is peculiar. It changes, mutates. One day it might be completely harmless. Another day it spawns horrific monstrosities that hunt and kill my people. Other days we are healed by its touch. We are not sure exactly what is behind it. We do think it is a remnant of ancient times. There are a few of these remnants around the jungle. They form and spring into existence as if they have a will of their own. I think you met one incarnation of it when you first ran into Miku.
The thing.